Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Aaron Herman. Tonight is Chanukah, and it's been a difficult time for the Jewish community because of the terrorist attack in Australia. But something amazing is happening. There's this unity from the Jewish and non-Jewish community coming together around this tragedy, but there's also so much light and so much goodness happening. Let's take a closer look. Chanukah is a time to celebrate with your friends and your family. Especially this Chanukah, after the horrific terror attack in Australia, we need some light. And he just shared a really powerful, for me, it was very inspirational about Chanukah and the Menorah and bringing light. So tell us a little bit about, a little bit of the history of how things evolved and showing light, especially in the Chanukah, to the nations.
Yeah, of course. So back in the day, probably about 50 years plus ago, surely more than that, the Chanukah menorah was a symbol which represented light within a person's home, and it didn't really go beyond that. Some people would put it in their windows, but it was very much a symbol and an act and a mitzvah to do with one's family, with maybe some friends, but not beyond that. The Rebbe saw this as an opportunity, saw the menorah as an opportunity. It's such a powerful mitzvah where the entire idea is to bring light into the world, which is the idea of what the Jewish people's mission is. The Jewish people's mission is to be the light unto the nations, light unto the world. And the menorah very much symbolizes that. And he said, why keep it? Why keep it to ourselves? Spread it to the world. So he said he called on his shluchim, on his emissaries throughout the world, to start making programs and events over Chanukah where we light the menorah in public menorah lightings. And that's what we did here tonight. We have this beautiful menorah over here, and we had another one on Sunday night. And the idea is to bring light bring light to the world. Bring the light of Chanukah, which represents the idea of the neshama, the soul which flickers towards Hashem. Right? That's what fire represents, the neshama. It represents this neshama that when it's on fire, when it's powerful, it expands and it brings more light and more light and more light. And something that's unique about fire is that when one fire wants to give from itself to another, it doesn't lose. It stays the same strong. And not only that, but when the two flames are together, the two wicks are together, it becomes even bigger. So with that, that's the idea of Chanukah. So
yeah, one of the things also, it's beautiful on a personal level and a spiritual level. And what you're seeing after the tragedy in Australia is that there's this light that's being it's just like this flame across the world. Through the Chanukah and the light and all the good deeds and the memories, it's heartwarming, especially in this terrible time of this darkness.
Yeah, it really is, and I think that the response, when it comes to the response of tragedy, and especially when it's external, right? When somebody else comes and tries to blow out a Jew's flame. When just in general, Jew, what do they say, that famous thing? 2 Jews, 3 opinions, right? So why Jewish people are fiery on the inside, and we just need to let it out. And when there's tragedy, I think the natural Jewish reaction is, heck no, I'm not going to let that, not just put out our flame, but I'm going to make it a fiery furnace of a flame afterwards. And that's what we're doing here.
In times of tragedy, the Jewish people stand together, and we saw that with here in White Plains coming together to light the menorah, where there was darkness just a couple days ago of the tragedy in Sydney. As a rabbi of a community, what are some words of inspiration that you can give during this time and trying to bring light in this darkness?
The essence of the Neiros of Chanukah, it says, Kiner Hashem Nishmat Adam. The candle of Hashem is a person's soul. We have to realize that on Chanukah we're igniting the light of Hashem, which is the light of our souls, Each person, when they light the candles, they're igniting the light of their souls, and therefore they become empowered to follow and to do the work of Hashem and bring the Or, the Ner Hashem, throughout the world. And that's what we're doing. The Jews do it, and the proof is we're here after all these years, after all these tragedies. We're still here, and we're going strong, and we will continue to be strong and get stronger and stronger.
To get together, I know a bunch of the synagogues in White Plains sent this out, and it's really nice to have a unity event with all the Jewish people in White Plains. Yeah, it's very nice to get together as a Jewish family. As you can all imagine, this past week is tremendously difficult. It's all been on our hearts and minds, what happened in Sydney. And it's a pain that's collectively felt by the entire Jewish people. This is especially difficult for me. It hits home. Excuse me if I choke up a little bit. It hits home because not only were my fellow colleagues murdered in Sydney, but also a relative of ours. And people this week people suffered brutal, unthinkable attack, and one of those was Rabbi Eli Schlenger, who was our relative. He was thank you. He was a cousin of ours, and he leaves behind a grieving wife, children, and not just him, but 15 people leave behind parents and siblings, loved ones, friends, family. It's an unimaginable void that they're leaving behind. So it's hard to we're struggling to process the shock and heartbreak of this terrible loss. We also pray for the healing of the many that were injured as well. I know there's many people that are still in the hospital, some in the ICU. A friend of mine, I just found out today, I didn't know. A friend of mine who I was in yeshiva with, he was in the hospital overnight. On Sunday night, he had shrapnel in his back. But there's many such people. There was a friend of mine who was at the Sydney Menorah lighting, shared that minutes before the shooting took place, Rabbi Eli, our cousin, was doing what he does best, which was sharing light, making light. He was putting on tefillin on a fellow Jew. Shortly afterwards, he was killed while acting as a human shield for another. Miraculously, that person survived. I want to share something small that the two nieces of Rabbi Eli shared. That a few weeks ago, he took them out to lunch, and they were a little bit older than his oldest daughter, and they are older than his oldest daughter, I should say. And he spent lunch treating his nieces to a nice outing at a restaurant, but also asking different nuances about what it's like to be a teenager and what he can do better how can he be a better father. He wanted to learn what was trending, what he can do better, and that's the kind of person that Rabbi Eli was. I want to share with you one simple, powerful idea with you tonight. The Rebbe, the founder of the leader of the Chabad movement in the modern era, he said that when tragedy strikes, a Jew doesn't ask, why did this happen? What do we do about it? Rather, we ask, what do we do about it? So that's what the question of tonight. What do we do about it? So throughout the week, there were many ideas, not just here, but in general. Should we make menorah lightings? Should we not make menorah lightings? Is it safe? Depending on the country, in England, may feel less secure than in the United States. Luckily, we have the really fantastic White Plains PD over here. But not everybody's so lucky. And but the answer is, my dear friends, that a Jew does not respond to darkness by retreating. A Jew responds by bringing more light. We don't fight hate with hate. We fight hate with light. That's our responsibility, and it belongs to each and every one of us standing here. If you came here this evening, it means you choose to show up. You choose to stand with the Jewish people. You choose courage over fear and light over darkness. Your presence here is a clear testament to the power of good in this world. Before we continue, we're going to pause together. I ask that we pause together and take a moment to pray for those who are injured, for those who are suffering, and for the families who are now just left to pick up the pieces of their lives. Let us join together in prayer with unity, compassion, and strength. And I gave to everyone else, but I need one of those pamphlets. Anyone have an extra one? Okay, here we go. Thank you. My wife has another one for you. Okay. So it's on page, we'll turn to page 3. So, it's all right? No, that is the first page. My apologies.
Which
Okay.
page did you say?
So we're gonna pray for all the people. First of all, for the souls of that were murdered in Sydney, the Kedoshim, the holy ones that were murdered just because they're Jewish. We'll pray for their names, them, and I'll say their names. Harav Feivel Eliezer ben Yamin Halevi Schlenger, Yaakov ben Tzvi Halevi Levitin, Reuven ben Emmanuel Morrison, Moshe Aaron ben Yosef, Matilda B. Britvan, Dan Alkayam, Alex Kleitman, Peter Meager, Zrika Pagoni, Boris Tedelroyd, Zibur Weitzman. And also we'll pray that those that need a refuah shalema, a speedy recovery, have a speedy recovery. Arsim ben Zoya, Chaim Mushka Bashtir Nasara, Dover ben Talia, Ilan ben Ira, Ilan ben Shimshon, Geffen ben Esther, Levi Zev ben Elisha Rachel, Moshe ben Benyamin, Moshe Yonatan ben Tzipora, Shoshana bat Mina, Tova bat Fega, Yaakov ben Etel, Yaakov Yisrael ben Sarah, Yaakov Dov ben Penina, Yehuda Le ben Manya, Yonatan ben Tzipora, Yosef ben Shter Sarah. Okay, without further adu, we'll read it in Hebrew. If you don't know Hebrew, there's translation on the bottom. You can read along as well. Shir lamalot esa einai el harim, ma'ayin yavo ezri, ezri mi'im Adonai oser shamayim va'aretz, al yitain lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha, hinei lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael, Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha, al yad yiminecha. Yom HaShemesh lo yakeka v'yareach b'layla Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra yishmor et nafshecha Adonai yishmor teitcha uvecha mi'ata v'ad olam. All right. Without further ado, we will light the menorah, bringing more light into White Plains and by extension the whole world. And then we'll sing some songs and bring joy, because the ultimate thing that breaks barriers, that breaks darkness, is joy. That's the most. That brings the most light. So if you know the blessings, you want to sing it along, by all means, we're on the second page, third page, second page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kilishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Halik ner Chanukah, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu bayamim ha'em ve'azman hazeh. Amen.
Too close to the edge.
Am I doing it the wrong way?
Yeah. No, that's from your mouth.
There we go.
was just testing us. Careful. Well done. Well done.
All right, there we go.
As you can see, we need a lot of light. We need the Jewish and non-Jewish community to come together and to realize that the power of the Chanukah is not just to bring light onto the nations. It's about this empowerment. It's about this opportunity to come together. And what you heard from, from people is that this is a time. This is our time to be that light. This is Aaron Herman, and thanks for watching.